What's up, everybody? It's That Anime Show. I'm Terri Doty with
J. Michael Tatum.
And today, returning returning is Joel McDonald.
Hello!
So much has changed. We're not, at, a studio anymore.
Right.
We're in a better studio.
Better studio.
I really like this.
And there's no one next door laughing and shouting the entire time. And
Tatum. I want to say so much.
And we get our name right, when we announce ourselves.
I did love that. They're like, all right, what's the name of it? That Anime Show. And I had to tell them how to spell anime. And it was so...
Just Google it, for God's sake.
No, I spelled it like they did in Google, and Google corrected me, and I went, that's all it took. But my favorite thing is the person that was in charge of that actually gave us our name. She's like, for right now, we'll call it That Anime Show. And I went...
Hey,
I so there's a little bit of trivia for you. And then we just kept it, but then they did like a promo for us, and they kept calling it The Anime.
The Anime.
The Anime.
We're like, what?
The Anime.
That's kind of fun, too.
And he's like, how did it sound? I'm like, it sounded great.
It sounded really wonderful. You might as well have read it backwards. But
I just like, because when I was recording with you guys last time, there was the MMA the show going on next door that they were talking about mixed martial arts, and I swear somebody got body slammed against the connecting wall right in the middle of one of my fascinating anecdotes.
Your anecdotes are fascinating.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, it's nothing can compete with someone getting body slammed on the wall next to you, especially when it's as thin a wall as the one that separated our studio from theirs.
Was it your first podcast?
Yes.
But you've done a couple since, at least
Just one.
Yeah, I heard.
I listened
That was
to
a lot
it.
of fun.
It was fun.
I listened to it. The creator of the remarkable Joel McDonald fan club,
Yes.
I believe, is one of the hosts.
Lauren Ren Zook Hatake. She has many, many names. I don't know which one's the real one, but I call her.
I like Lauren.
Ren. She's awesome.
And Rin.
Yeah,
I'll call you whatever.
But yeah,
Nice.
they do the Anime Addicts Anonymous is their podcast, and I did that a couple weeks
pretty
ago,
nice.
and they were really, really fun. I had a great. But I think I don't know if I told you, but I went back and listened to it after we did it, and after it was posted, and I could not hear them very well, and I didn't realize that until I listened back to it, because they were saying things to me, and I was just rolling right over it. It sounded like such a jerk.
I am Joel.
We're going to talk about
I'm going to
me
ignore
now.
your question. I had the same thing happen to me when I interviewed. I forget where my first interview was. Some little online thing, and I wish I could remember what it was called now.
Was it The Fan? The 91.8 The Fan?
Maybe that might be it. That might be it. The guy's name was
We listen to all
Robbie.
your podcasts.
But
just to
but
let
it was
you
funny
guys
because
know.
it was via phone, and I was so nervous, talking, which makes me talk even faster, which is quite a feat. And
hard to understand.
yeah, and
beautiful.
but like he would ask me a question and I wouldn't hear him because I was talking, and it was like the way the phone connection was, I couldn't hear him if I was in the middle of saying something. Like it would just dominate the wave, and then he would be like, oh, and then so I go back and listen to it, like, oh wow, I do sound like a real dick. Like I'm just ignoring questions and
See, but
bulldozing
I give
right over
short answers because I'm afraid I'm going to be doing that. So I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And if I hear just a smidge of that, I'm like, what?
See,
Which is,
and that is
I'd
my
much
thing.
rather roll over them than be like, I'm sorry, what?
I have tried. God, how I've tried. I cannot give short answers. It is impossible. It's really.
How do you
I'm
fill out
glad
job
that you say that
applications?
because it's really kind of my Achilles heel. Like if I'm ever in a situation where. One of those one of those mythical hero situations where everything hinges on an answer, and I'm going to be like, well, I'm going to be screwed.
Look at this from both sides here.
Like, what's your favorite color? I'm never just going to say green or purple. It's going to be like, well, you see, I really like green because when I was a kid, I used to go camping a lot, and I missed that natural green. But purple became one of my favorite colors because I was a huge. And then over the bridge I go. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm not gonna. I can't give short answers.
You should be the new like Ira Glass. Like just give you a one-word boring topic and talk for 2 hours. Peanuts.
Thank you. And I do nothing to make it more interesting. I just fill time.
No interviews.
Yeah.
Aww.
It's really funny. But I do. I will. My average panel, when I do a solo panel, which I love doing at cons, it's like one of my favorite things. Just get up there.
You look like you enjoy it.
I enjoy it because
all the pictures that you're tagged in the next day.
Yeah. I enjoy it most because being on panel with other people, I'm always worried that I'm not giving other people a chance to talk. And so I try not to be the first one to answer a question because I know, if I start going, man, this will take like 10 minutes and I won't realize.
So does everyone else
like,
on the panel, they're like, crap.
Just go. So I tend to be a little, only just a little quieter on like group panels than on solo panels. But I look at solo panels and even like the ones that are like an hour and a half, it's like I've answered 5 questions in that hour and a half. I really don't know how the hell.
300 kids with their hands up just...
No, they learn. The hands go down the minute like one question gets picked. The kids, they're fast learners, and they're like, oh no, all right, he's gonna be on this topic for a while now.
He
so
might
my
get
hand
to
goes
me. He
back
might
down.
wander into one of those.
Hopefully.
I do find that I very, precipitously wind up answering a lot of questions that don't actually get asked, and so that I'm like, there you go.
We do that here too.
It's just my style of talking.
It's like by the time we get our the first round of questions, we're like, oh, we kind of already answered that. Sweet. Sorry.
we did. We got to that. Awesome. Yeah. It's very, very funny. But
You been keeping busy, senor?
Yep. Yeah. I'm writing again. I don't know if I was writing last time I talked to you guys.
oh, good. I'm
not
glad
sure.
you're writing
You might have
again.
been taking a break. I don't remember.
Yeah. But yeah, I had to take a lot of time off because there was a little hiatus anyway, and then my laptop got stolen, and so I just kind of I was out of the loop until I could pick up another one of those. But yeah, now I get to direct all day and write all night. It's awesome.
And then voice that.
On occasion, and every once in a while they let me wander into a booth. It's good.
Oh
Good.
man.
That's good. I'm glad you're back in the writing game.
Yep.
I like your writing.
I'm having, and you're kind of my boss now, or one of them.
I'm really your
well,
boss.
You definitely look at my
co-workers.
stuff and go, oh god. Yeah.
Not really. That's not how I do it. I'm just kind of like, cool. Yeah, that's good. Nice. Thank you for making my job easy.
Well, I mean, my scripts right now, since we're writing on the same show, is they're very much imitations of what I think you would write.
Which is funny because then sometimes I'll imitate yours to be like, oh, I like that. I'm going to use that in my script. So now I'm imitating you, imitating me, imitating you.
Oh,
Love it.
This
horrible.
is weird. Where's this going to go?
This is going to be a great show.
Oh yeah, it's fun. I we obviously can't talk about the show, but I did get to see a little bit of the beginning of recording of it, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh good, that's nice that person is doing that and that person is doing that, and knowing who's doing what is now
Right.
like, oh okay.
Yeah, I was surprised by some casting choices, but good surprised. Every one of them.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's good, cool.
I mean, I obviously just don't think outside the box enough, like as far as
who's gonna be who?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that's the one that guy plays,
Yeah. But how have you been keeping otherwise?
Otherwise good. Just I bought a homebrew kit yesterday. I'm very excited about. It's technically my roommate's birthday present, but
No, it's not.
no, it's
No.
It's like Homer Simpson giving Marge the bowling ball
Right,
for her
yeah.
birthday. Well, if you don't want it, I know someone who does.
That's always the funny thing about being in a couple or like living with people after. It's like, am I getting this for them or am I getting it for me?
Well, up until now, all of our Christmas birthday presents to each other me and my roommates have been, I'm not getting you something, and that's your gift, and you don't have to get me anything.
Yeah,
and that's part of it's great. It's
a great understanding.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then one of you breaks those terms, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Right.
Now I have to get you something, you son of a bitch.
Like, no, you don't. You're like, oh, you say that. You're so full of it.
That happened in high school, and all of my buddies, we had a pact for years. No Christmas presents. That's stupid. And then somebody told, one of the guys in the group was just like, hey, I just want to let you guys know I just got you a little something. Don't worry about getting me anything back in return. We're like, no, you jerk, you ruined it. And so we all went out and bought presents. presents, and then we get what he gave us, and it was those like potatoes that grow hair, like kind of or something like that. It was like a cheap bet, but it was like this something stuffed in a pantyhose, or I don't know what it was, but it was just like I was really upset. Like I got you a CD. Yeah, I don't know.
Nice.
That's really funny. Well, see, my family, we used to do this thing where, yeah, I mean, when we were kids, of course, it was the parents would always kind of do some research to figure out what we wanted Santa Claus to give us.
Sure.
And then once we were old enough and we were all just giving gifts to each other as adults, it became a thing where like no one put any thought into any of their gifts. They would just go to the person and be like, "What do you want?"
Right.
And, well, I want this. What do you want? I want this. And so I finally told everyone, I'm like, hey, since none of us truly really seem to, like, really give a shit about putting any thought behind these gifts, why don't we just make our gifts to each other that we don't have to go through this bullshit anymore? And we could just buy, with the money we save, we could buy the shit for ourselves that you were going to get anyway. Because I'm like, my own philosophy, and this is just me, I'm not particularly interested in gifts given to me because it's the right time to do it,
right,
you know?
Right.
Like, people that give me gifts on my birthday, I mean, that's all fine and good. I mean, you know, I'll accept them, but like on Christmas and things like that, I'm like, I mean, that's fine, but I feel bad because I feel like the people feel obligated to give me something, and I'm like, well, that's
but if you
no
get something
fun.
that's like not on any kind of occasion, it's obviously like, this clearly made me think of you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like
You
those
just-
purple shoes you got.
Yes, that's awesome, you
Right.
know? Terri got me a cactus the other day because
Really?
she was
You
thinking about
needed a
me, and I was
cactus.
like,
Yes.
I want it. This is awesome. And it was just totally out of the blue. Those kind of gifts mean a lot to me. But you know, they like, hey, hey, it's Christmas. Here's that thing you wanted, just so you don't get mad at me for not getting you something.
I
Is one of those-
never ever get gifts from people. Like my mother, like, it's like, I think you would like this. You thought wrong. But oh my god, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, Joshua.
My family always we go through this every Christmas. I always tell my mother exactly what I want because you know.
I sent her to the Amazon wish list now, which Tatum I got from Tatum. I got that idea from Tatum.
But I mean, like,
Yeah,
I'll
I
go
have
so
to,
far as
'cause-
I'll send the link. I'll be like, this is exactly it. Go ahead and buy me this. Everyone's happy. But
Buy
she
it
doesn't want to give me
online.
something I'm expecting, so she tries to get something similar but completely different.
Okay,
what
so
was that, Doctor?
Joshua is a big fan of he and I both are huge Doctor Who nuts. Have been ever since we were
They
kids.
converted me.
It's one of the many things we bonded over, and his aunt, who's kind of the crazy aunt, clearly doesn't know his tastes, and he sent her his Amazon wish list has a ton of Doctor Who items, books and DVDs and stuff on there. And just like your mom apparently didn't want to get him something he expected, so she just kind of gleaned from all the Doctor Who merchandise on the wish list that he wanted nothing more than the best of the Who, which is what she wound up getting. And he was like, "No, that's really bad. That's like no. I mean, no, it's the Who. I mean, okay, if you like the Who, it's not. I'm not saying it's bad because I don't like the Who. I'm saying it's bad because it's like whether you like the Who or not. That's kind of like saying, you know, I would love nothing more than a Jeep, and instead you get a car bed, like that." That's kind of that.
I
costs
got
us.
you.
You
I
see what
got
I mean?
you.
It's
Yeah,
it's like wow, okay, wow, thank you.
My mom, like, I obviously love horror, and she got me 300 based on the cover.
There's
She's like,
blood
it looks like it's gonna be bloody, so happy birthday!
I used to love the stuff I would get from my grandmother because every year she would get me something based off of. She would walk into a CD store, find someone roughly my age, and say, "What do people like you listen to?" And so I ended up with all kinds of fun stuff. Nickelback, mostly.
Oh,
Yeah.
should find whoever recommended that.
Yeah.
Stop them.
I love over the years the various gifts I've forced my family to give me, like for Christmas or birthdays, when like, what, we have to get you something, and I'm like, I don't care. Send me an Amazon. I started doing the Amazon gift list, wish list rather,
Genius.
because my mother was like, you have to tell me because I don't know what to get you, and she was like literally paralyzed, like she could not go out and get her gift like for me. I don't know what you have. I don't know what. So I gave her this list, and one year I got things like Itchy the Killer.
It's funny to get from relatives.
I was like, hey, if you're asking, this is what I want.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's wonderful when my mom, and she loves the whole Amazon thing because then she doesn't have to like look at or even touch what I'm getting. She's like, I just have to click and I don't even look at it. I just, all right, there it is. That's how much money it is. So
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
I love giving gifts, but I stress about it because I like to give like gifts that they wouldn't immediately think of. Yes, but I don't want to give them something that they're like, oh shit.
One of my really good
I have to use
friends
this now.
is getting married in September, and I just looked at their wedding registry stuff, and I was like, nope, not getting you any of this.
You're getting a backgammon.
No,
board.
our registry was like a couple of kitchen things, which of course none of them were for me. Steven's like, ooh, yes, click, 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 click. And the rest were movies and stuff, and like periodic table shower curtain. All cool stuff.
So what's like the best gift you've ever gotten? Or like one of the most unique and best gifts you've ever gotten, like as a kid? Anyone? Any?
Ooh, that's good.
I love
That's a
these
very
questions because it's like,
Best
what was
gift.
like a...
You answer it. I'm sure you already
I have a couple. I have like my favorite gift was probably I got a Charlie McCarthy doll, like a ventriloquist dummy when I was a kid, which I think I told this story when Tia was on, and she was
Maybe.
delighted by this because I really wanted it. I don't know why. I never learned to use it. I just really wanted it. I was like, this looks cool. I want a little dude with a monocle and a top hat in my room, why not? And so I never did learn how to use it. I never did learn how to throw my voice or anything like that. So, I don't know why I got it, but I loved getting it. I remember I obsessed over this gift months and months and months before getting it. I was like, I knew I was going to get it. And so I was like, I couldn't wait for Christmas because I could just see this Charlie McCarthy doll. And now the idea of having one, frankly, terrifies me. Mm-hmm. I don't think I could look at one in my room because I've seen too many movies since then, like Magic and Zapped and, movies where dummies come to life and do horrible things. I can't. But another one, and this is just kind of my thing. I was a big Thundercats fan when I was a kid, and you could only get the mummified figure of Mumra, the main villain. He wasn't sold separately. He only came with the tomb, Mumra's tomb, the playset. And I got it one year, and I was very happy. That was the last thing I needed to complete my Thundercats collection because I had all of the toys, every single one, every bit of Thundercat merchandise, every T-shirt, every plastic sword that made noise, the sheets, the action figures, the play sets, the little the rovers, everything. I was complete Thundercats.
So
nerd.
what do you think about the movie coming out?
I don't know. That's probably going to suck.
Probably.
The show doesn't really hold up that well. I mean, I can go back and watch it.
There's a movie coming out.
Really? No, this isn't just that fake YouTube trailer.
No.
The one with Brad Pitt.
No, I was watching the artwork.
Okay,
I was
alright.
looking at artwork
I
for it.
haven't seen the fake trailer.
No,
I haven't
there's
seen the real
one that's
yet.
been out for a year or so. That's like this trailer that's put together with scenes from different movies, but somehow they've digitally like put paint on their faces, and they've got like Hugh Jackman, some scenes from X-Men that they've cut in, and he's
Lionel.
no, he's not. No, Brad Pitt's Lionel. Who is Hugh Jackman?
I guess he would have to be Pumra.
Yeah.
Is that his name, Pumra?
Yes.
I don't remember any of these.
Wow, I'm really going to show my ignorance on this, but anyway, but that one was fake, but this one's real, and now I'm excited. That's awesome.
Best birthday. I don't know.
Birthday, Christmas,
Steven thought about
random gift.
like my first like birthday like with him as a couple like really well because I had a crappy car that of course I didn't have an MP3 player. And my car, even if I did, I wouldn't be able to play it. So one year, he got me a CD player, made me pick it out, like for my car, and then got me an iPod for my car.
Nice.
So yeah.
Very nice.
So I guess he's pretty good. Yeah. Well, or and then Christmas-wise, I think it was that Steven, again, Steven's really good at that because for the most part, my family, it's like, it's great. Yeah, I mean, like, yes, great stuff that you, like, want to get as a kid, like toys and stuff, but he got me to meet George Romero, so he's pretty good.
I saw those pictures. That was cool.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
What about you? Anything?
Well, my birthday is 2 days before Christmas, and so that holiday is always a jumbled, confusing mess. And my mom, her birthday's in December too, so she's really good about getting me separate presents. But everybody else is like,
Because she knows.
Yeah,
She's
she
like,
knows the
kids
pain.
born in December get screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend's kid's birthday is December 27th, and I was holding him like moments after he was born. I'm like, you are so screwed.
Yeah. I'm still trying to have my birthday party from last year. It kept falling through, and so now I'm just kind of waiting for. Come on,
Hey,
let's go.
I didn't
To
even
be
have a birthday.
fair,
I didn't even have.
we waited all day.
I know.
I didn't even have.
That was a bad day. Like you guys,
my birthdays always
you
turn out
had
bad.
some pretty crappy luck like that around that time.
Well, and everyone's
Man.
always like out of town, or if they are in town, it's to spend time with family, and so it's just like.
It wasn't until like I met all you guys that I realized like for me it's like if your birthday doesn't go through, that's it. But for you, it's like no, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
Let's do this again. I didn't realize it till like Tatum's like, okay, my birthday's here, but in 2 months we're gonna have a party.
I started planning my
that's what I
birthday
had
a
last
long
year.
time in advance.
That's what happened last year, and this year I'm not having a birthday party. I'm just decided when Joshua has his birthday, or maybe when you have your birthday party, we'll just do it jointly because I'm like,
McFarland's is coming up.
that's true.
So he's doing that. He's like, I can't. I'm too busy. Which of course he does it like I'm too busy. He's like, so I'm thinking like in like 2 months maybe.
Yeah, we should have just like a birthday void. Like all of us should have a birthday party for all of
Birthday.
us. Like there should just be a week blocked off. Or like, okay, you get Monday, I get Tuesday,
Right.
and Joel gets Wednesday. We're just gonna have it's gonna be a week long party for all the birthday boys and girls that couldn't get parties around the actual day.
I don't have the Christmas, but I get the Easter weekend.
Right.
That's usually when I always choose it, and you'd think after this long I'd figure it out, but no. Everybody was gone. You were at a con. I was dog sitting for McFarland, which was a highlight actually. I love his dog.
Yeah, his dog is beautiful.
We had this ridiculous amount of weather this week, and on Monday I love that all of Funimation just walked outside and we're like, what is this? Rain? And at one
We were out there until like it started getting so bad that we were getting drenched because we just want to be like, oh, it's nice and cool out here now. It's like,
but we made you like go like, come and get
like
rain.
son of the storm, because I have this habit of getting lightning to strike me. So I walked out. I'm like, come on.
Almost strike you. It hasn't actually struck you, has it?
No, it's never actually struck me, but it's gotten.
You've
close.
been almost struck by lightning before?
He's a lightning.
Oh, many times actually.
Lightning rod.
I've been at least 3 times I can think of. I think there's more. There was one when I was a kid and I was hiking and storm blew up in East Texas, as go figure.
Sure, right.
And before I had the chance to run back to the house, my grandparents had like a little farm. It wasn't really a farm, we call it a farm, but it was like their little getaway home. A lot of land out there with like forests and stuff. And I used to hike in it. My grandfather got on the porch and started ringing this big bell to run back into the house because he could see the storms coming, and I guess I couldn't, or I really wasn't aware of how serious the situation was. And he describes me as like running across like this field from one copse of trees to another, which I had to get back to the house. And he describes seeing me from the porch running and seeing like lightning strike one direction, and I would like run the other way. And then it would strike over here and I'd run this way. And I remember very well just being very terrified. And then there was a time I was staying at a distant cousin's house. I don't know how she was related to us. It was an old woman and her family that lived out not very far from this farm in East Texas where I spent a lot of time as a kid. And lightning actually came through the window. It didn't strike. It didn't actually. Well, I guess it struck. It didn't like do any damage. The current came through the window, and they had one of those old-fashioned, like I guess, tin embossed ceilings with all the tile on it.
Okay.
And the lightning basically just started flaring across it. I mean, it was crazy. It was like someone had set off all these little fireworks on it. It was bizarre. It was just like pop, 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 pop on these little illuminations, and we're all freaking out, going, "What the fuck is happening? What do we do? Lightning is inside the house." And that happened when I was because we were watching television on this old black and white set she had, and her kids or her grandkids or whoever the fuck it was. I don't remember. I really don't remember who it was. I only remember we stayed with her while my parents went on to Tyler to do some research with my mom, who's into genealogy. And so we stayed with this. I think it was a half sister of my great grandfather's or something, because she was ridiculously
You'll never
old.
know.
And she lived out in Canton. And so anyway, we stayed with her, and lightning got in the house. Like lightning got in our fucking house, and we were like just freaking out. And luckily nothing happened. It wound up doing some damage to like one of the upper rooms, but nothing significant. And
it got up the stairs.
It went through the ceiling, and or the current went through. It was just the weirdest fucking thing. And then another time I'd gone out to chase after Angus when he'd gotten outside during a storm and made the mistake of actually bothering to look for him when I should have just let him be.
Sure.
And lightning struck about like 20, 30 yards away from me. And so I started going, oh, fuck this, and ran back towards the house. And as I was running back toward the house, not the house, but the apartment at the time, I could smell like ozone and the hair on your neck and your arms start standing up, which is a great sign if you're ever out in when the weather is dodgy and you smell ozone, like that electrical fire smell,
right.
and you start getting that static feeling that you need to fucking move your ass because lightning's about to strike somewhere near you, and that's kind of the sign. You have seconds maybe, and knowing this, I fucking smelled that. I go shit, so I started running for the door and made it just in time to avoid being struck by lightning that maybe struck 10 feet away from me. I mean, it was close enough that I felt the heat of it, and the force of it kind of pushed me through the door. I mean, it didn't sear me or burn me or anything because it wasn't that close.
Get
but it
magical powers.
It was close enough to do that. So this is the joke. So now
I have said this before, and I will say it. You need a biopic. You need the J. Michael Tatum story.
I've had a very bizarre life, and I don't know why.
I think it would be a series.
It doesn't make it doesn't make much sense, does it?
No. No.
It really doesn't. I don't know. But yes. I'm just careful of lightning because apparently Zeus or whoever has it in for me.
Zeus. The gods.
You have hubris or something.
Yeah, at 5 years old, I was just an insufferable prick. Let's see. Questions for you. Let's see.
Joel questions.
This is an Alan McLeod question.
Oh, yeah.
You guys had a cool sort of merry-go-round thing going when recording for Big Wind-Up. It seems that in the later parts in the series, one of you was always in the director's chair and another in the booth.
We all did direct it, didn't we?
Yeah, because Joel wrote about a third of the series. What was it like switching off roles, and did you like it more or less than recording, directing, writing for a series with a single director?
Good question. It's a you question.
Yeah. That's why everybody's looking at me.
I consider that show more your baby than anyone else's because you were kind of there from the beginning, and you were the big baseball.
I think it was Bevins' baby. Just because Bevins was producing.
Well, the three of us, I mean, of course.
Yeah. Well, he's a baseball fan too. I really liked getting to write on something that I was in. I think that was probably one of the first times that I got to do that. And I didn't. I just remember I mispronounced every name in the audition.
And Bevan's like, "Really?
Yeah,
seriously?"
No, but no. I think I liked having everybody working on it. Like I liked having a lot of hands, a lot of cooks in the kitchen because
it's fun, isn't it?
Well, and I found out that there were terms that to me were like common sense baseball terms that to other people were not. Like we pretty quickly, Andrew Rye, who was also writing it, was called me and asked me. He was like, "Hey, you keep using the term battery, and I cannot figure out for the life of me why." And I was like, the battery, the pitcher and the catcher, that's, them together, they are the battery. And he was like, I have never heard that before. And we start asking around, and he's a baseball fan, and we asked, several people, and apparently it's something that it's a term you use if you're 50 plus. Because everybody that we asked that was over 50, they knew, and everybody under was like, what?
Back in the day when we used to play baseball.
Stick your word on it. A lot of it was Bevins is they know what they're talking about, so if it's a technical thing, trust them.
It was great for a while there. It was we were all recording it at the same time, so if I had a baseball question, of which I had many, because I know nothing about baseball, I would just knock on your door and be like, hey, why do they keep saying lead, lead? What the hell does that mean? Don't explain it. I'm like,
there was one note that I think I have brought up before, and it's my favorite writer note ever, and it's two women talking in episode 26, and the note was, I don't know what women talk about, change it if you want.
That sounds a lot like me.
I don't know what women talk
I'm
about.
like, baseball, all this terminology, it's like,
Yeah, that's why Colleen yanked me off Negama so fast. Because every time I would try to rewrite a line for any one of the 150 girls in that show, she'd be like, "That's really what you think we sound like?" I'm like, yeah.
I was in a Walla for you, and it was me and Christy Bingham and like Lisa Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about like hair and stuff like that. And apparently you like turned to Steven's like, is that what they talk about?
There was a session, I can't remember if it was that one or not, but there was a session with girls that there were levels problems or something like that, but like, we kept having to get the same like long like chatter walla cue over and over, or they at least start it several times. And at one point I was just like, guys, hold on, we'll get stuff figured out outside, leave the door to the booth open and just talk amongst yourselves and we'll get this thing figured out. And once we get it figured out, I was like, start recording. My God, this is perfect. Listen to them. And he was like, well, they got to close the door to the booth. I was like, that'll kill the moment.
You find a way to make it work,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
Walla is always very interesting. I've had to do a Walla by myself once. Like it was like I was the only one that wound up showing up. and the director, it was Leah at the time, was like, well, we might as well get you on something. And so she put me in this restaurant scene. I think it was one of the Case Closed movies or something. I can't remember now what it was because I just did bits and extras for it. And I thought, well, that's fun. But it was like I did an entire, like, there was like a 4-minute long restaurant scene where she needed Walla. And I'm like, okay, if there'd been like 3 other people in the booth with me, this would have been easy. But I'm like by myself making conversation with people that don't exist because there was no track laid down for it. I was the only person, and I'm like, that's the weirdest experience I've ever had, is doing Walla by yourself. So I'm like, she's like, well, just have this conversation with someone, and so I'm like, all right, and so I was just randomly throwing stuff out there, like, well, I just got out of prison a couple days ago, but I mean, it was really, it was a commuted sentence. I mean, I got on good behavior, so that bodes well, and I was like just putting this out there, and it was like cracking Leah up, and I'm like, just don't make me laugh because I can't keep this up. Like I can't, it was really funny.
Were you telling me that you like put in like spoilers in Walla
all the time? When I'm directing something, like I did it in RNJ and I did it in Ren and I did it in Juose and I also did it in Aquarion, I would always jump in the booth for at least one pass of Walla. And if it was like a crowd scene or something, and I would just like inaudibly, you could never pick it out. In final mix, I would say something that would give away like a major plot point. So I did it all the time and all the time.
Or you
in
rant.
RNJ. Huh?
Like, what was it? I think it was in Nabari.
I ranted. That was me and Monica. She called me in one day. She's like, well, there's this like background where it's like a newscaster talking to like a writer and they're both talking and it's an interview and like it's just random and we didn't get it. And so can we just talk about this? And so she was like the newscaster and I was like the writer or the literature professor or something. That was what we determined this was going to be. It didn't have to be anything. It was just us talking. But she started talking about like books and Harry Potter and I started ranting and we got into it. And then Steven was like all,
it went on for like 6-7 minutes.
Went on for like 6 minutes or something like that. And he was like, we got everything we needed like 4 minutes ago. But thank you. Now we have a lot. And I'm like, oh, good. And it was just funny because we actually started having this conversation and like we're like, oh yeah.
Steven pulled some Walla the other day for something we were working on, and he pulled some archive Walla or whatever. And I love it because, like, right in the middle, and it's, there's, not to give anything away about the movie or the project or whatever, but there was a little fishing scene going on, and in the background there was fishing Walla, and he pulled it from some old Tsubasa stuff or something like that, but very clearly, right in the middle, you can hear Terry go, fish guts! And, like, every time I hear it, it still makes me laugh, and Steven was like, you want to take it out? I'm like, no! It's too perfect.
When we were doing Romeo and Juliet, I kept having the same. I would do girl Walla and guy Walla because it's very hard to do co-ed Walla on it, right? Because it tends to be I don't know. You get a bunch of girls together, you get a bunch of guys together, and they can have 5-minute long improvised conversations between themselves. But you get co-ed Walla together, and for some reason, it's really difficult. So I've always tried to. I'm like, I have 4 girls in a day and 4 guys in a day, and and never the twain shall meet. But we had a bunch of guys on Romeo and Juliet, and it was funny because there's a lot of guy Walla, especially like the prison village and the mining village, all that stuff. So all guys. And there's some scene that just cracked everybody up when they were like eating, and there's fish heads floating in this stew pot, and fish heads became the new like thing. Like so, a reference to fish heads made its way into every goddamn piece of Walla for the rest of the series. However relevant it might have been, like, and someone would, like, they're like in the theater, watching Juliet as the Red Whirlwind make this rousing speech about how we're going to change the monarch, and someone goes, "It's better than fish heads," and of course it's so mixed you can't hear it, but I would just die every time. I'm like, oh my god, you people, you damn fish heads. Yeah, fish heads.
I love. That's why I hate to say it, but like a lot of the times I cast my Wallaceations based on who makes me laugh the most. Because like if you let a Wallacue go on just a little bit too long, you always hear the most fascinating thing at the very end.
The most random stuff. I love it.
Yes, I love it. Love it. It's fun. All right,
it's
let
really
me
awkward
see.
when you get that like people can't do that, and it's like just 4 people.
They're
just
like, so
sitting
what do you
there
want me
going,
to say? I need some lines.
and they're like, yeah.
I get maybe I'm being too character about it. I'm like, so I said, it's like, whoa. I think there is Walla and Big Wind Up where I'm like, it's just like, I said if he wants to keep that bike, then he can go to hell. I always have to do the finger, when I'm really digging it, because I'm like doing it to the monitor. I'm like,
That's my favorite thing to do, actually, is go out in public and just catch snatches of dialogue that I'm only hearing the last half or the first part of, and just try to figure out what the fuck did that come out of? Like, what situation is this describing? I don't get it.
If
like,
it hadn't been for my horse.
yes, that one. I love that joke.
oh, quick. It's not really a question, but Kyoko wants to know, what's your favorite frog? Who's your favorite frog?
Ooh.
Oh man. Okay.
Don't worry that one of them's in the room. It's
Can
okay.
I say first that Chuck?
Oh, that's right.
Chuck has been watching the show. Chuck Huber's been watching the show with his kids, and
Yes,
which is great because it's that kind of show that you really can. There's stuff that they don't necessarily get that you laugh at, and blah blah blah, and vice versa, probably. But yeah, he said his kids have all picked their favorites, and theirs go: Tamama's the cute, funny one, Giro's the mean, funny one, Karo's the funny one, and Kululu is weird. And of course, they forgot to mention Doro. Of course, because Doro.
That's appropriate, though. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I love all of those frogs so much. I can't pick a favorite.
It is hard, isn't it?
Gun to your head.
As a group.
Doro.
He's just saying that because I'm holding the gun.
Literal gun to your head.
I have now. Word has been leaked about the name of Doro's sword, right? Haven't you talked about that?
I
That was
mentioned
okay.
it.
All right,
I
I just wanted to make
somewhere
sure.
that I told everyone that Doro's sword's name is Steven.
We reviewed that episode the other day, and I laughed and laughed. And Steven made that face he makes when he doesn't think something's very funny at all,
or he thinks it's really funny and he just can't admit it.
maybe.
He loves it. Yeah, I let that leak at a convention because it's like, everyone, just so you know, Doro's sword now has a name. We're calling it Steven.
Yes, because
I'm calling it Steven.
he's
Whether
been
it makes it
doing
in the final cut or not.
He's been making it to where he's just like, because I talked to you later that day. I'm like, apparently you made Steven really uncomfortable. And you're like, well, what did I do this time?
It could be any one of a number of things.
then
What do I do now?
I put it on speaker, and Steven
Which
was like
thing?
getting ready for bed, and he's like, Steven. And Steven's just like, whoa, no.
I just love Doro, and I'm not saying this because you're in the room, because Giro's the one who's like he's mad about this. None of this makes sense. This is stupid. Why can't we just take over the world? And I like Doro because he's the very peaceful one, and he's totally the outsider. And whenever he does pop up, it's like, guys. And then they ignore him. He's the voice of reason, and he's funny in his own unique little quiet ninja way.
Yes.
I love it. Moat mode. I'm totally behind moat mode. I get it. Like whenever he goes into his little depressions.
My Steven.
That was for you, Steven.
He's like,
I
thanks.
just love saying Steven's. Just saying Steven's name in Doro voice is great. It
Well,
makes him
whenever
shudder.
he also the high pitch, like when you're doing that, it's Steven.
Steven.
I can't do it today. Allergies are like, nope.
you.
Steven.
It's like, like a chant, Stephen, Stephen, rowing the boat, Stephen, Stephen.
I know he's in the other room right now, just going, oh.
No, I think I'm just like, oh my god, wasn't that so funny after the show?
I climbed out a window and walked off.
He's moderating the chat now.
Why are all those sheets tied together hanging out the window?
He could have just taken the door. I don't understand why he did that, honestly.
More dramatic this way.
But I'm just like, oh my god, anytime after a show, I'm like, wasn't that funny? He's like, I kind of tune you guys out, actually.
Sure.
I'm like, well, what? He's like, I'm busy.
Well, here's an interesting question from Donna B, which I just love, because this is, okay, out of all the roles you've done, which one do you think is the most obscure?
Most obscure?
And I guess let's not count Walla, because we talked about
sure.
Walla a bit, and usually Walla is the most obscure thing any of us do, because we're part of a group.
I don't know. I was Furukawa in Kenichi, who just had one little scene trying to beat up Kenichi. I was also Shiratori. It was very obscure. Yeah, it would probably be one of those. Unless it's something I've completely forgotten, which would make it more obscure.
So obscure, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
That's funny. What? All right. Well, there goes that question.
We're used to the way you and I answer things, where it's like, oh, well, it's a difficult thing to answer.
Yeah, let me go into a long dissertation about how I'm going to answer this question. And then I will answer a question, and then I will describe to you why I just answered as I did.
I have a comment from Maria Marie. Okay. Tell Joel that I like him. I'm going to read this. Okay. Very serious. Tell Joel that I like him and I want him. Now we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The choice is his. Thank you, Maria.
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't mean for it to be read that way, but
I have a confession to make. Maria Marie, that's my screen name. So. Sorry, Joel.
You've been texting for me.
it's like, oh my god, we should have... Click.
And there's another one from Ren in the same vein. It was, so Joel, can I buy you a drink? I think you should pit Ren and Maria Marie together.
I think Ren
against
might
each
win.
other.
Nobody wants
to see
that.
which one of them is going to fight over you. Like which one of them is willing to fight.
Oh, I think Ren will bring it.
She's a cool little artist. She also
She's really good.
She submitted artwork for that anime show, which I still think that we're going to use anyway, even though Steve emerged the victor. But
Steve's
her artwork for you, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy is the word. Yeah. She did that in honor of the 100th fan on the fan site, which was really great. And when I saw it, I was like, that looks exactly like I did like 8 years ago. Like, it's great. But I think she was working off like one of my old headshots, which I've really got to change. But I just feel weird putting like on my own fan site, being like, hey, here's 40 pictures of me. Look at them. Love them.
Is it weird?
Yes.
Are you
I'm a member. I joined.
Awesome.
The second someone sent me that, I sent the suggestion to everybody. It was
I'm
like
a Joel
everyone.
McDonald fan.
That explains. Well, I think it's a lot of it's my family.
That's how it starts.
Sure. Yeah.
That's how it starts.
I would prefer if my family did. I'm like, don't lie.
No one in my family actually did. It was all people up at Funimation. Like they're like, oh, I want to join. I'm like, oh, thank you. Now you're just doing this to like make me feel good. And then now
You
it's
have
like
two fan clubs.
Yeah, there's the one on Facebook, and then there's the show.
No, you have two on Facebook.
I have two on Facebook. I didn't know about
There's
this.
one, and then there's an official one.
How's it official?
I don't know. I don't know what makes something official.
Did I officiate something? Maybe I did. I don't remember.
Did you notarize it?
I don't remember.
Rubber stamp.
Maybe I did. I have to go. Okay, I have to go check this out.
I'm on Facebook but I was like, I think I was going to post something on your page, so I just searched your name, and it's like, you can do this, or this, with the new version of Facebook. I'm like, whoa, what?
Huh.
Okay, click.
I have to go see. I feel bad now that I don't know that it's there, or that I've just forgotten about it because today is Saturday and I've slept since the last time I've been on a computer. But I need to go check it out because it's always fun to see what the fans will do, because a lot of them, like the Shadow Followers always impress me. I mean, because that story is like, Karan who made the site emailed me and was like, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. Would you mind if I made a site? Nothing official, just like a fan site. And I felt really, it seemed really nice of her to ask.
Yeah.
And so I said, yeah, sure. You didn't have to ask, but thank you. And then like 2 minutes later, she sent me the link. So, she'd clearly been working on this for a little while.
She probably already had it made and it's just
and just thought before I post it, before I publish it on the web, I'll go and ask it. And it's amazing how that little site's grown. It's so fun, and it's brought so many people together. It's fun to... When I meet a bunch of they call themselves the Shadow Followers.
Is it an Oron reference?
It's an Oron reference because Kyoya is known as the Shadow King. That's one of his little nicknames throughout the series. And because he's the one really running the show.
Okay.
Is the joke. But it was fun meeting a lot of them when like at conventions where they're meeting each other for the first time, and they end up becoming like the best of friends. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like, I'm bringing people together, and I don't even know how I'm doing it. But hey,
few of our members are Shadow Followers.
It's really, really cool. It's fun. And the same thing, like the people on the Facebook fan club that I know of, the one I guess it's been there longer because that one's been there for about a year and a half or something. I guess the one I'm thinking of.
Crazy.
And like Todd joined it and everyone else joined it. It's fun, but
keep hitting my mic. Fuck my mic.
Well, fuck your mic, because that's going to make a lot of noise too, and we don't want that.
Ooh, gross. That is gross.
What?
I don't know. All right.
God, you take things so literally.
Yes.
How you doing, South Africa?
I do take things literally. And we're going to
Not
take
all Americans are like this.
Well,
we do not represent a cross section of our country. Please.
I do.
I guess we all do. Who am I kidding?
Yeah.
But you do. You certainly do. You're kind of the all-American guy.
What?
Yeah, you are. No, in a lot of ways you are. I don't mean like you're a redneck. That's not what I mean. You're not like a good old boy. I mean, you're just you're the guy next door. You're the.
I'll take it.
You're the
guy next door bearing a body in the back.
Well, yeah.
Don't look over here.
What kind of neighbors do you have? I mean, that's.
Don't look over
that
here.
goes without saying. My neighbors bury people in their backyard. I'm sure they do.
All right, we've got a couple of questions from Young Money Charles. I'm going to pick one because obviously I'm going to go here. What's your favorite cuss word if he's not, and I love the parentheses, if he's not into being moral?
He's not into being moral. What's your favorite cuss word?
What are you trying to say,
cussing
Young
is
Money?
immoral.
Fuck.
You know, I'll tell you my least favorite. I have never, well, I won't say never, but I don't take the Lord's name in vain, because there are so many commandments I have problems with. That's the one I'm generally just, I won't say those things. And so then I can have free reign with the other ones. I don't know, I guess I'm partial to, I stub my toe and I'll give a good fuck, sure. It's true. It happens.
I love the way you worded that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Looking back, maybe that wasn't the best.
I love the way any of our guests have answered that question. Like Monica, just so cutely, just went cunt. Like, oh man. We're hearing, I don't think we asked Tia. Tia was our first show uncensored, and she was just so, talking about dolls and Toy Story, so I felt it weird to be like, what's your favorite cuss word?
Right.
Shoot.
Did you ask Aaron?
Aaron? No. But I love that he was like, I'm not gonna cuss. But he cussed.
He did,
yeah. He just the little chunk I heard, yeah.
Twice, right? Yeah. It wasn't very much. It was like a damn or a hell, wasn't it?
It was a shit.
Was it a shit? Well, you can't tally. I didn't even pay that close attention.
I always listen to the show after to make sure Steven didn't fuck up on the mix.
Right.
Well, also, I wanted to hear the arm wrestling and how it turned out, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. How did the...
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. The person who won was not the person I expected to win. I'll be honest with you. I'm glad I didn't have any money down.
Just no one's ever going to know, huh? Is that the
story? We made a deal not to tell anybody because we don't want the parties involved to be embarrassed.
Sure. Yeah. If Aaron gets asked at a con, maybe he'll answer. I don't know.
And yeah.
I'm kind of the one that's more them to
embarrassed.
secrecy because I told them I thought it was probably in the best interest of their careers that they not tell who won.
Yeah.
No one knew it. No one knew it.
And this was
these
like
things
right
have a way of
before
blowing
I was
up,
like,
and-
I have no problem breaking a 17-year-old kid's arm. That's exactly what I said. He's like, I'm not one to destroy a woman. I'm like,
Can I tell my favorite Aaron Duke story?
Please.
Okay, this guy. All right. Well, he was at SoccerCon, the one and only con I've gotten to go to as a guest, and there was that little VIP little function, whatever. Everyone's drinking cocktails and chatting, and there's lots of little hors d'oeuvres and stuff. And I've had a couple of Jack and Cokes because I'm enjoying myself and I'm relaxed. And I'm looking around, and Aaron comes running up to me and he goes, "Dude, you want to go to the game room?" And like me with 3 Jack and Cokes and me is apparently like right on level with Dismute. And so we go running over there, and he didn't have his badge on him, and so the guy was like, "I'm sorry, you can't get in."
He never remembers his badge.
And he was like, "Look, man, I'm one of the guests here," and blah blah blah. And he was like, "Look, if you don't have a badge," and I was like, "I have my badge. Can you be my guest?" He was like, "No, you both have to have badges." Aaron just like gives this guy this dirty look and then walks to the door that's like off to the side of this guy and like just swings open the door and walks through it and cuts through this little back hallway and basically circumnavigates the guy or just goes right around him, and it was just like, "I'm Dismuke." And like as he walks in, it was really great. It was just the right amount of cocky. It's like, "I'm going in here. I just want to let you know."
It's so much fun because the cockiness is such a put on though. He'll be the first to tell you. He does it at a con and he does it just to be funny, but like sometimes you're like, no, he really is just joking. It's not that.
yeah.
He just really wanted in that game room, and that guy was like, But yeah, Aaron can't keep a badge around his neck to save his life. Like the con has to issue like 8 badges to him every day because he'll lose it. Oh, I forgot my badge.
That guy's all over I remember walking around the corner. I don't even think I knew he was in the vicinity. I walked around the corner outside in downtown Seattle, and he's like dangling from a street lamp or something.
Yes.
Just like he was fun. Yeah, he's a funny guy.
He is very fun. He's very fun.
Love him.
And on that note, let's take a little break.
Awesome.
Okay, and we're back. That's right.
And I'm chewing gum this round because I really want to irritate Steven.
No, that. Can I
The
chew
entire
gum?
listening audience.
Oh man,
The power.
the power.
It's easy to freak Steven out.
Surprisingly
Well,
so.
Well, yeah, I like
So
that.
how was everyone's break? Did you enjoy it?
Good.
It was there. I love that answer. Hey, how you doing? I'm here. Or how goes it? It goes.
That wasn't my question. How are you doing?
It's an answer that isn't an answer. Yeah. Well, it's better than going like, crappy, or really good. And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah. That's all. I really don't want to talk much about it.
Moving on.
I tend to jinx things whenever I like how things are going. So, but crappy. Oh, Mr. Joel.
Yeah.
I do like the little drawing Jackie Caraway did of you and Steven.
I really like that. That's
It
neat.
is- it
No,
is
and then
awesome.
it was Steven immediately. He's like, he's hitting 3.
Did we mention that before? Did she intentionally? Or is that
I
intentional?
don't know if she intended to do it because we've never talked about. I mean, how it's set up,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
So I just find that funny.
Yeah.
And Steven's like, "Oh, the detail on my tattoos is amazing."
And I'm glad I have a little 5 o'clock shadow, which is good.
Yeah.
It's Without it, my chin goes away even in pencil drawings.
How do you fold pillowcases?
It like took him a second to go, right.
Oh, I'm with you now.
No, he was just
Who
like,
folds pillowcases? I would have to use my chin. Random.
I just dribbled everywhere. Like I went like a water.
You
Okay,
have a little dribble cup.
Yeah.
A little sippy cup. So waiting for Joshua. I got a little sippy cup and put his gin and tonics in with a lid.
That's not a terrible idea.
I mean, you'll look a little weird, but it'll be worth it.
Make him a martini glass with like a little sippy cup lid.
That would be adorable.
Or no, just lids that can adjust to the top of any cup. There you go.
Don't
Dude,
they make those? Don't they make
infomercial
those?
right
I'm
here.
sorry,
I think that's saran wrap.
Saran wrap and then poke a hole through it.
Right, yeah.
Like the little bobo teacups you get at like
Yes.
little chai tea places. I love that stuff.
I love the last time we went to one. It was me. It was the four of us and McFarland, of course. And there was someone that had been wearing a skirt that was entirely too short. So the whole time we're like, The second they left, though, Mike was like, yeah, just. I love his
like,
laugh.
wow, that skirt was not even really a skirt. Like, I'm not even sure what the hell you'd call that. Was just trim.
I envy people who can wait for the right moment to laugh.
What?
I envy people who can wait for the right moment to start laughing. Like I probably would have seen it and just been,
I still tend to show it on my face, though. It's like that.
I have a hard time controlling what is appearing on my face. And when people call me out on, hey, you must be mad right now, I'm like, oh crap, I let my face go, like it's showing it.
My face.
Even if I'm not, they're like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. You just look pissed. I'm like, no, actually, I think it was a new engineer. He went, you okay? And I went, I'm great. And he went, you look pissed. I went, unfortunately, that's just how I look.
I'd like to think that no one can tell, but I think in my case, no one cares. They're like, never mind. Don't ask him. He'll tell you, and it'll take 15 minutes of my life that I'll never get back.
That's not true.
Said in the most sincere way possible.
No, I'm saying no one can tell because you're good at hiding it because you don't. I
just don't have any feelings. That's all. It's not that I'm hiding anything. There's nothing to hide. I'm just a barren emotional wasteland in here. I feel nothing for anybody. It's
rolling my eyes at you.
Yeah,
a lot. Do that.
I'm like, I can hear them rolling. It's crazy.
I'll try. I don't want to hear the eye thing.
The eye smack.
Yeah, you made this sound in the middle of a break, Joel. That reminded me of that little piece of audio that Steven and I put together from Heroic Age.
Oh, yes.
It was a mouth noise. It was really cool. While I was interning, Joel let me kind of see what it would be like to direct and let me, pretty much just sit there while he directed himself as Eolus in Heroic Age. And there was at one point, he read something and you had this weird little mouth noise where it goes like, oh. Uh-huh. And so we put that with an age line.
That, and then immediately after my throat made that involuntary noise, I went, oh, God, what was that? And so, Stephen took and then some greely line.
He put Tatum as Age saying, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It quickly became the most disgusting thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Steven's the worst about that. You gotta know that if you're in that booth, that mic is on, he is recording you, and that is gonna be for his own amusement.
Yeah.
So many engineers could blackmail the shit out of me for all because I just talk between takes and I'm like, oh God, you recorded that. Why did you record that? Oh.
Sometimes it works though. Like Anthony Bowling didn't know that I was recording and he went to pretend to vomit and it worked for his head exploding. Perfect.
All right.
We have more questions.
We have more questions and one of them's in a different font than the others. We may have to we'll get to that in a little bit, though. This is another one from Maria Marie, and this is for all of us. Apparently, she says, "If you could insert yourself in any anime, I do this for a living.
It's okay. We're coming for it again. Here we go.
Okay, one more.
Right.
Okay. If you could insert yourself into any anime that you've done, which would it be and why? Meaning, I'm guessing if you could actually be in a real version of an anime that you worked on, what would it be and why?
Be in it, like acting in it, or in that world?
Like in that world, I imagine, because that would be.
I don't know. I've worked on some pretty grim shit.
Like nothing I've worked. No, I can think of a couple, but I think, but.
Well, it'd be really fun to, Big Wind-Up would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I'd have to
go with it. It would go on forever.
It would. That's just baseball.
Yeah, Joel's ready for that.
That was one of those things that, it was my immediate, thing that I loved about the show was that, one game would take 3-4 episodes. I loved that. And then people started complaining about it. And I was like, really? Anyway.
Baseball fans.
I'd have to do Initial D because that's in the little world.
That's a neat world. I would do. I think I would choose Baccano because that's a fun world. Oh
yeah,
that's a fun world too. Just the time period or time periods that set in would be really fun. But I really, come to think of it, I would also love to be in the Holic universe. I would love, I would. That would be another one I would love to insert myself into. Those are the two that immediately come to mind. You, Terry?
See, you guys have done a lot more than me. So let me see. Big one, no, just because girls didn't show up that much, other than like Momoe, and like Jeremy. Not Shikabane, because there's a pretty good chance when I die I would come back. And I'm like, please don't kill me, please no. Not Rin, because women get fucked in all of my anime.
Even when it's not called for.
Damn it.
This background walla doesn't seem to fit.
Just do it.
Just do it.
You want the money or not? Do it.
I have no idea.
No idea?
I'll go ahead, because everyone knows it's my favorite show now. Go ahead and say Shikabane, and we'll play it by ear.
All right.
Just be sure not to die, because then
I'll try. I'm trying right now.
Be one of the monks.
I'll be. Well, yeah. Apparently, the only female monk's like huge boob lady. So I think I could do it.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Let me see. I have no idea. What's the funniest moment for you in an anime series? That's
the funniest moment in an anime series.
I don't know. There are a lot of moments. I don't think there's one that actually would stick out. Like one, bam, stick out. Yeah, see, we're all
in just any anime series, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean,
well, I'll tell you. I mean, like, I can't watch Baccano in Japanese or in English without laughing at Isaac and Miria. Like, just every time, in either version, I lose it.
Aww.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Frog. There's not an episode of Frog that doesn't make me laugh like out loud and like howlingly at some point, at least for some reason. Like I think I really like for some reason, and because it keeps coming up, but I have several favorites. But I really like the toothache, the cavity episode.
That episode 10, that's one of my favorites too.
It's hilarious, and there's nothing in particular about it that makes me laugh. It's just the entire the rhythm of it. Everyone in that, it's just hilarious. Yeah, I love that.
Well, my favorite line in that episode, my favorite moment in that, two. The one where the first bleep we ever did, which I still waffle on, but I mean, I so love it. It made me laugh. It made us all laugh so much that we could not do without it. But is when they're talking about the Cavidians, now they invade your mouth and all that kind of stuff, and then Bruce pops in as the narrator and says, well, at least they're not the branch Cavidians. Those guys are crazy. That was awesome.
That show is hilarious.
I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's hard to pick the funniest one because
there's really not a funniest.
There's not a hierarchy of like, well, that one's kind of funny, but it's not as funny as this one. It's there's a lot of moments. It just kind of
Wind Up was funny.
Wind Up had a lot of funny moments.
Tajima going riding on the bus like second episode. He's like, oh God, I forgot to masturbate this morning.
Yeah. I think I want to say I wrote that episode or at least watched it and went, oh,
I was interning at that time, so that gave me a lot. I love that we took time out of the session to look up all the euphemisms for masturbation, and Bevan's like, we're gonna be here a while. Crap. Drain the monster, blah blah blah.
Wow.
And just
I didn't realize there were so many.
We did that the other day. We spent the first 45 minutes of a session coming up with different euphemisms for boobs, and didn't use most of them, but it really got us off on the right foot.
Yeah, like Stephen mentioned something, and me and Carly Mosier went off on a tangent, between us, there were at least 100 names, and Steven actually went, please stop. I'm really tired of getting updated with this.
Jamie Markey was just telling me the other day about a script that she had been working on a while back, and that there was a character who said something about blah, 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 balls, right at the very end, and she put, I think she said she put 38 alts.
Balls, stones, rocks, cones.
Yeah.
Balls are funny.
Mm-hmm. Truest thing you've ever said.
Balls are funny.
Balls is awesome, y'all. Somebody said to me the other day, or I didn't. It wasn't to me, but where did I hear it? And they said, "And if you ever do this, you break this promise, I will detest you." And by detest, I mean remove your testes. I'm like, oh well, detest now has a new meaning for me. But it was not directed at me, as you can tell. I still have my testes.
I can't tell.
You can tell because my voice isn't way up here.
I see.
I don't sound like age today. That's how you can tell that the person didn't. I did not get detested.
Unfortunate. That's very. I went out last night with the ladies. I won't say what ladies because we made a pact.
Okay, but it's not like another euphemism for breast, is it? Okay?
No, I went out with.
I went out with the ladies.
Well, I always go out with the ladies, but not like out with them.
Not out with them. The ladies aren't out, but you are.
Apparently, that's frowned upon. No, and it's been a while since I've been out without the husband, just because we're together so much, like we work together, all that stuff. But I went to the bathroom at one point and came back, and it was at a drag show. I had a lot of fun, but this dude, I was trying to find my way to get back to my table, which was it was at the front of the stage, and I stopped for a second, and this dude grabbed my shoulder and rubbed it, and I went like, whoa, whoa, and he was just like, what? I'm like, you don't belong here. Get out. And it just very slow. I'm like, and then I told a girlfriend, and she's like, where? I will fucking cut him. She kept doing this thing with her.
I know
like,
who that is.
I will fucking cut him. And I'm just like, oh no, it's fine. She's like, no, where?
I want to cut him.
Give me a
not
reason.
about you
Give me a
anymore.
reason. It made me
You
so
get
happy.
into the most interesting scrapes when you
I
go out.
really do. Well, I don't know. I just bring it out in people. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
I went to a
You should
drag
write a
show
biography.
in Savannah, Georgia, when I was on tour, and I swear they slipped in 2 actual chicks just to throw everybody off. Like, those dudes were good.
Yeah. No, that was insane. And a lot of it was just, that's not fucking fair. Like looking, like, that's not fair. That is not fair at all. Here is $1. At one point, though, like, it was a Lady Gaga.
How do you think we feel?
It was a Lady Gaga impersonator. And
It's very confusing.
A girlfriend of mine, yeah, I would assume so. Yeah. A girlfriend of mine slipped the Lady Gaga impersonator what she thought was $1. She's like, oh my God, I just tipped that bitch $20 for lip syncing. She's like, she was good, but fuck.
Wow,
It just made me
I
happy.
haven't been.
Yeah, after the drag show I went to, there was
in a
definitely an
long
awkward moment with one of the actors I was on tour with. He was just talking to one of the ladies, going, "So you want to like get a beer or something?" He was like, "Let's hang out, dude. You're awesome in all the right ways."
After the show,
Wow,
like we were
okay.
just hanging out in the bathroom and talking to one who's beautiful and talking about shoes and stuff, and I'm like, this is almost too much for me. Huh? Not that, it's that we're talking about shoes. That's what I had a problem with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I do get into the most random stuff, especially when Steven's not my chaperone.
You're gonna call him from jail one day.
No,
Okay,
he
honey,
dropped me off,
don't
and I
ask,
like waved.
but
I'm like,
that
my
fire
friends are here.
downtown-
Bye. So I could drink. Bye. I'll call you when I'm ready to get
That's
picked
on your
up.
control collar.
Yeah.
You call 3 hours later. Okay, don't be mad, but I'm in jail, and that fire that happened downtown that's all over the news right now may or may not have been my fault.
They started it.
But,
Did you know Mouth is arrestable?
But I also now have the largest collection of Hubble figures in the North Texas area. It's a long story, but you gotta bail me out first.
See, I never give the long story, even when there is a story. It's like, this dude, he's talking a bunch of shit. Long story short, he's dead. Yeah. Well, remember, it was that thing, I think it was a Nick Swartzen stand-up when you realize you're telling an uninteresting story. So you start changing it. You're like, yeah, I know. So Nick made this face, and it was all like... So Nick fucking stabbed him. I'm like, what?
I do that. I do that all the time. I will mix stories to be like, independently these stories are not interesting, but if I combine them,
Right.
I have good drama.
It's like the Million Little Pieces guy.
Yeah,
It's like, this is all kind of true-ish, but here's the good stuff.
Yeah, here's the good stuff. There is truth to it, but just don't take it as history.
Like, no, don't
Never
tell
let
anybody.
the truth get in the way of a good story.
Exactly, or use fantasy to be able to tell the same story more than once. I do that too.
Well, I love that. Like, I always seem to be sitting next to Joshua when we all do that. Like, no, sweetie, we've heard this story. Like, well, he hasn't, and Joshua does this. Like, let's see what's going to be different.
Right?
He keeps me on my toes because afterwards he'll critique me. He's like, actually, that was pretty much the same as you told me last time. It actually sounds true now. Like,
Here's your review.
thank God. I think when the should I say starts sounding true is when you know I'm lying. because I'm obviously trying to make it sound like it really happened, and other shit I don't even need to bother. I'm like, you're not going to believe this anyway, so I'm just going to fucking tell you what happened. Yes, this happened, and yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, it's not that I lie. It's just that I like to tell like a lot of stories at once, and sometimes the best way to do that is to just join them under one narrative. And it's not really a lie. I call it technique.
Sure.
It's
creative storytelling.
It's creative storytelling. Yeah, exactly. It's all true. It's just, do you have to know the date? I mean, do you have to know what I was wearing? No.
Right.
Some reason I always do that. I think we were even talking about when we started the show. And you're like, yeah, no, we started the show in March. I'm like, no, we started it in January.
Oh, and that's just because I have no grasp of time whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, time passes, and I'm like, what month is it?
If a story of mine starts the other day, then it could have been 10 years ago.
Same here.
I don't know.
Today.
Yeah.
All my childhood stories, I notice, I say, well, I was about 8 years old. I'm like, 8 years old was probably the most active year in my entire life because everything happened when I was 8. But I'm like, no, that can't be true. That had to have happened when I was
get up,
16.
break my leg, go to camp.
Yeah, so when I was 8 years old, right, I was driving to school one day, and you're like, 8 years old? Oh, yeah, I guess that could have been when I was 8, yeah. But, yeah, it's just funny. I come from, it's like the movie Big Fish. I totally understand that movie. I get that.
Yeah.
I come from a line of storytellers like that, because my dad is kind of a big fisher, and, you know, and my grandfather was certainly a big fish storyteller, and we're all that way, and there's truth to it, but it's like, I don't know, it's just, I think it's the Welsh Irish in me. Like, we all, like, I don't know, feel the need to like make the stories not bigger than they really are, but just to make them more entertaining in the telling. We have to add details
to make it enjoyable.
To make it enjoyable.
My grandmother used to tell the same story about me all the time about how she knew I was an actor when I was a kid before I could even really talk in complete sentences, because I went to this park next to where they were living in McGregor, and I would stand on top of the slide and I would orate these like nonsensical gibberish stories and act out things in front of crowds, throngs of little children that would gather around me, and I believed this story. It was gospel truth to me for the years, decades, until I was like in high school, and my dad was like, you know, she used to tell the same story about me, and I'm not even sure that park exists. She saw it in a movie once, and it just became part of her.
So I'm glad I didn't watch a lot of television when I was a kid, because I wasn't really allowed to watch but like 2 hours a day or something. And
my parents should have done that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there were some times as I got older they relaxed that, but when I was really young, they just didn't like me watching much television. It wasn't. I honestly think it was just to save electricity. I don't think it was out of any interest of my mental well-being. It was just to save electricity because we were all cheap. But it was funny because I'm like, I realize now, if I had watched as much television as I did when I got a little older, I don't watch much anymore, but I'm like, how much of that would have been like, oh yeah, and there was this one time where this little girl was running down this field of like daisies, and like that was Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
Oh yeah! Well, this is one time we saved the world from total destruction when this guy named Mumra tried to take it over using like these bacteria, and that was animated. How could you even think that was one of your memories? But I remember it in so sad. But yeah, but Joshua will hear me tell the same stories, and it's funny because he can tell them now. And I think that's I've done my job when someone else can tell the story now just as good as I can, because I'm like, that story is now 10 years old and it hasn't changed much, but he gets bored. And you know, you do when you're telling the same story among people that have heard it before, sometimes multiple times.
Yeah,
you feel the need to interject new stuff to make it entertaining, not just for the new guy, but for them, because you're like, I'm sorry you have to watch this again. Let me give you a little bit of, you know, previously on Lost. You know, and so
holy crap.
It's really coming down out there, isn't it?
Ooh.
Rain.
God,
yes,
the dog's
it's raining,
in the kennel.
so. Oh yeah.
I can't even see the questions anymore because there's no light in here. Oh, I do. Here's one from Tara. This is one I wanted to ask.
Tara Caraway.
Who do you think is the most interesting character you've played? Not necessarily your favorite, but the most interesting. And yes, I think you're awesome.
Hey, she's most interesting is I think Yajima, because I still haven't wrapped my head around him in Lime Barrels.
Yeah, which is coming. The second half is coming out October 14th.
Yep.
Oh, sweet, very nice. Yeah, I've been wanting to see that. I really liked working on that show, and that was one of those that I got to write some on as well. But Yajima was like, I mean, he was that he wanted to be the good guy. He wanted to be the hero. He's one of those great like villains that's not a villain if you just kind of like look at the story back far enough.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I never really. I like all my characters that have like where it's really difficult to discern their motives and their and all that kind of stuff. And Yajima's the closest to a villain I have played, and I really really enjoyed that.
Well, Yoite started out as a villain.
I don't know. I'd say tragic hero before I'd say villain.
Well, like Tatum too. Like you liked both of those characters, but they were like for the bad side. So.
Yeah, that's true.
They're framed as villains, but they don't see themselves as villains. Really do.
Sure.
Otherwise, they're not.
Both
very
of you die. Actually, never mind.
Yeah.
Tragic heroes. Because at the last second, you are pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's the second that matters is right before you die. How are you?
Yeah, right before you die. Forget everything else about your life. It's the 1 second before you die. Now's the time to make all up for it. Yeah.
I hope I can try.
That's a very Japanese concept in storytelling, though, is the idea of the noble adversary, rather than just being someone who's out to get you bad for the sake of being evil, which is rarely interesting. Because no one
isn't interesting because we have no concept of why you're doing it.
Well, there's not a whole lot of characters written that are just purely evil. I mean, because if they're all asked to explain themselves, they will always say, "Well, I'm doing this because of they're wrong." Yeah, I mean, what was that guy in there was like the character in Titus Andronicus that says like if
Aaron the
any
Moor,
good I've done in my life, I do.
Said, yeah. But even him, you kind of understand that he's kind of taking revenge against a society that treats him like a second-class citizen, so that he's doing it out of a kind of an infantile need to just get back at people he feels has wronged him, people he feels have wronged him. But the characters. There's a lot of examples in literature that are just like villains that are just there to clearly be foils for the hero, but that aren't interesting or three-dimensional in themselves. They're just there to get the plot going, and they're not good villains. I mean, that was The Grapes of Wrath could have been a better book if he could have just written the bankers and the mortgage people, have written them more human as well, and instead they're definitely the bad guys. They come in, they're just emotionless shitheads that come in and steal this land right out from under, or basically take dispossess these people. But it would have been a better novel if we could have seen an insight into their motivations. Whether we would have agreed with them or not isn't the point, but rather the fact that I mean, that's what's fun about playing villains is if they're really written. And for some reason, I think the Japanese have always, at least in anime, seem to be more comfortable with the idea of making the villains more difficult in terms of you relate to them, you identify against your will with them in a way. Like, despite their being evil, you kind of see their point of it, and you can't quite make an argument against them. You're like, well, I don't like what you're doing, but I see what you're doing. Like, it's rare, like that the main villain of a show isn't one that you're not sympathetic to, at least in some respects.
That's why I like one of my favorite villains is Kevin Spacey in Seven. Because he just pops up at the end. You never really get a look at him. You never know who he is as a person, but you know that he has his reasons.
He's got his reasons.
That's what makes it really creepy and fascinating. Is that you want to know.
Yeah.
Favorite villain.
Favorite
Books,
villain,
movie, show.
One of my favorite villains. He's not really a villain. I mean, he's the villain of the story, but I could choose many. He's just the first one that comes to mind. There's a character named Wolf Larson in the book The Sea Wolf by Jack London, which is a really fascinating story. It's a Jack London, so it's basically an adventure story about this guy, this kind of nebbish intellectual who has never really had to fend for himself. He's like living on a pension or living on a family stipend or something. So he's a gentleman, in other words, and has never worked an honest day in his life. And he is involved in a shipwreck and ends up getting saved by this whaling ship is run by the captain is this guy named Wolf Larson, who's absolutely the most brutal human being this guy has ever encountered in his life, but he's also extraordinarily intelligent. And he decides to, like, he takes it upon himself. He's like, he sees the main character, whose name escapes me at the moment, as this guy that he needs to teach a lesson to, but rather than brutalize him, he intellectually wears him down and shows him how all his high-mindedness is just an excuse for him being a pussy. And it's just interesting how they come to loggerheads, because Wolf Larson is a fascinating but despicable character. I mean, he does horrible things, but as he makes it, he's really good at making his case as to why he's doing it and why he treats his crew the way he does, and why and it's just fascinating. And it's really, it's one of the best written villains I've ever seen, because you could really tell that character was very close to Jack London's heart, and that he was like, that he almost felt bad that he had to cast him as the villain in that book, but that was the only way he could have gotten it published. He couldn't have written the book and made Wolf Larson the central character. It would have alienated too many people. But it's a very uncomfortable character to read, as much as you love him. I see a lot I talk about Deadwood a lot because I think it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. But Al Swearingen. He's definitely a precursor to the sort of Al Swearingen type of bad guy. If you've never seen Deadwood, you totally should. If no reason, because Al Swearingen is one of the best character creations ever in any genre and anything. He really is.
That is a bold statement.
He's fucking amazing. I mean,
right.
he's absolutely larger than life, and he's one of the most well-written, well-acted characters I have ever encountered anywhere.
Awesome.
It's practically Shakespearean, and for me, that's like the highest compliment I can give something, is to say it's Shakespearean. but Wolf Larson is definitely kind of, you could tell that David Milch, when writing Swearingen, drew a lot from, at least a little bit, whether consciously or otherwise, I think, from the Sea Wolf and Wolf Larson. That's my favorite villain. Look at that 20-minute answer. I'd make a good villain, because apparently I can talk myself out of anything.
And no, but you wouldn't realize. You're like, oh, they're gone.
Oh, they're gone.
And so you see, Mr. Bond.
Like, sir, we've been trying to cut you off for the past 15 minutes. Shut up, henchman.
This is why I had to tie you up. So your favorite villain? From literature, movies, whatever?
I think, you know who I think is like kind of portrayed as a villain, but he's one of the most complicated characters is Ignatius J. Reilly in Confederacy of Dunces, because you don't know what to feel about him ever. I mean, the entire time, because he's the hero and he's the protagonist, but he's also just the shit, biggest douchebag in the world. It's just like, he gets fired from his job as a hot dog vendor, deservedly, and you're still cheering for the guy. It's great.
And if you have any, it says something about the writer that you can still feel ambiguous about that character, even after the scene with the Noxema.
Yeah.
More I won't say, but
Right.
there's a scene with Noxema, and you're like, okay, I really should have seen this coming, and wow. And we're not even like a third of the way through the book yet. Yeah, the
I like those characters, like the Falstaffs, you're
great
horrible. I love you.
The great larger than life buffoons. I love Falstaff. I want to be Falstaff when I'm an old man. I do, because Falstaff, man, that's a good. He was like,
I just want to be an old man. You can get away with everything.
You can.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. You really can. And I think we have Falstaff to thank for that. I think Falstaff gave society an archetype to be like, well, he's just an old man. Let him have his fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always the excuse. Yeah.
But oh no, I will defend Falstaff to the death, man. Falstaff is an exemplary human being. Fuck all the moralists that are like, well, he's a drunk and he's a dropout and he's a womanizer. No, he's life. He is life. He is why we're alive. He's the guy that's like, what was the phrase? He's so witty that he's not only witty in himself, but he is the cause that wit is in other men. Huh. I've always loved that phrase. But yeah, sorry. Well, your favorite villain, or complex anti-hero.
Trying to think. I have no idea. I really don't. If you haven't gathered, from a very early age, I thought the villains were cooler. They got the better dialogue. Mm-hmm. So it's funny I can't think of anything. Maybe perhaps subconsciously I'm like, they're not the villain of this story. It's this douchebag that's all doing the right thing and everything. I have no idea. I'm like, no, that's a cop out. Cop out. I have no idea. I really have to think. Like, It's not going to be answered. I have no idea.
When I was a kid, and I used to obsessively watch Scooby-Doo. And I used to watch. I loved Scooby-Doo, right? When I was a kid.
I thought of this horrible statistic. There was a pie chart. They're like, only 7% of the Scooby-Doo villains actually committed a crime. The other 93% just scared you.
This is true. All they did was just hang out with a mask on and try to scare people, and they got taken away anyway. Like, man, what kind of crazy totalitarian state did they live in?
I was trying to get you to stay away from my factory.
I just didn't
Take
want
him away, boy.
I just didn't want the shop to close. You know,
that's immediately what I thought.
Yeah. Well, no, but I used to like the bad guys in Scooby-Doo. I used to like the creepy villains, you know, and even knowing that there was always a dude in a mask, I loved that. And so whenever my friends would get together and we're like, what are we going to play today? And we play Scooby-Doo, I would always insist on being the villains because they were colorful. I think that's what appealed, why I liked Doctor Who so much when I was a kid, because every week it was a different bad guy. You know, there was a different crazy bad guy who, if he was really well written, you started to learn, you're like, wow, he's not just scary. He's scary because you kind of relate to where he's coming from. And wow, he represents kind of the extreme of your own leanings that you would never admit of. But you're like, oh, wow, that's okay. Yeah, no, I'm not comfortable with that. But that's what makes a good villain for me.
Always like that. I guess that's why like horror movies are so good. It's because it's always the asshole that kind of fucks up everything. It's like, but you identify with him. He's like, no. I'm like, he's just freaking out, but he's a dick. Yeah. And they get all the cool dialogue, and then the good people do the really cool good things. But you're like, oh, great, they won. But you killed my guy. Damn it. Yeah, damn it. I feel like but you guys gave great answers. There you go.
Yeah. I if you've never read the Sea Wolf by Jack London, it's a short book. It's you can read it in a night, but it's just, man, there are moments in that book you're like, damn, God, this is a good character. God, I'd never want to meet this guy in real life because he would totally hand me my ass. But jeez,
every book or every movie or whatever, I always find out, you know, at the end of, you know, finishing whatever said media is, I'm always like, yeah, that guy was really awesome, and I find out that I'm the only one that thinks that, because like I'm drawn to the character that, like, you know, like I didn't like, you know, Andy Griffith, I liked Barney.
I kind of find the same thing as true of myself. I'm like, I tend to be drawn towards other characters and then assume other people like them, and they're like, no, that character was awful, I hated that character, why would he do that? I'm like, well, because, and I realize I can't explain him without giving away that I'm probably more like that character than you would. If clearly you don't like that character, you're not going to like what I have to say about myself.
Yeah. I was talking, I believe it was to Stephanie, because she did like a random line from like Little Mermaid. Of course, it was like Ursula, and I'm like, I was never very popular as a kid when it came to watching the Disney movies because I thought the villains were cool. And they had better songs and everything. So, you know, like Lion King, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was very popular.
Right.
And I laughed when Mufasa died, which was a horrible thing to do, but I went, who didn't see that coming? Seriously.
There'd have been no story. There'd have been no story.
I laughed because I was in the middle of watching in the theater, and he dies, and this one girl was trying to hold back tears, and she goes, and I just went, and my mom's like, shut up. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, it's funny to me, if you go back and look at a lot of the great Disney animated show features, the villains are usually physically repulsive in some way. Or they represent a body
wickedly
type that, you know, well, there's a few that are wickedly beautiful. There's like Maleficent, of course, is like the exception to the rule. But then for every Maleficent, you have an Ursula, and you have like the witches from the Black Cauldron, and you have you know, these people that either look like death warmed over, or that are just like, you know, goofy looking. And it's kind of interesting that the heroes are always sort of lantern jawed. You know, classically, you know, attractive men or women who are beautiful in some way, even though they may make them out to look homely at first. You're like, yeah, whatever. Cinderella never looked homely. She just looked like she couldn't dress herself, but she was attractive. It was just her clothes. So it's interesting that I think as a kid, I always related to the villains because they kind of stood outside of everything because they were kind of opposed to this perfect little beautiful world where you're like, well, that doesn't exist. You people are crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
I love the villains. I just thought of it. I love the villains in Futurama. It just came on again a couple weeks ago, and like Mom and Lur from Omicron Percy I-8 are great villains.
What about like Robot Santa? I love Robot Santa.
Santa's awesome. Yeah, it's true. And Satan's good.
It's a good
The devil
thing.
boss. A robot devil.
I was watching it. It's it just came out like what, last year or 08, a Dr. Horrible sing-along blog.
That's good.
Because I have the soundtrack. I just got it, and I was listening to the very end of it, which is very like you're like, oh wow, that's depressing. But for the time being, I also just love Neil Patrick Harris or NPH as he's known.
Sure.
By the ladies. Because it's Neil Patrick Harris. You're like, oh, it's Neil Patrick. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, it's so hard to say.
Neil
Patrick Harris.
And then you
God,
just
it's
die.
like 5 whole syllables.
Then you die.
Like, I don't have enough breath in my lungs to say 5 syllables. Whatever. I don't like acronyms.
That's a really good one. Even though you really hate Nathan Fillion's character in it, where he's like, and these, the hammer. The hammer is my penis. To be clear. Which that line of dialogue was written by a woman, which I felt was
I love jokes that you come back and explain.
Thank you, Ted. That was the joke.
I do that all the time. And for some reason, that's what everyone laughs at. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
well, on that sophisticated note.
Penis.
Okay, on that sophisticated note, I guess we will.
You look at me like,
we shall wrap this up, yes?
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming back, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Our first repeat offender.
I win.
Lovely. We'll have to have you. You'll have to be our first.
I got to stay out in the front on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So. Anytime.
Cool.
If you want to just crash another recording session we're doing.
Sweet, who you got next week?
Yeah.
Answer.
We got Answer.
Yeah, okay. I'm totally crashing. We can do this tranny fight you guys were talking about.
Well, now I think you're committed, so there you go. Show up. You better be here.
Or maybe do, like, get you, McFarlane, and Ansmere in a room, and then have, like, throw tear gas in and see who gets to the door the fastest or something. I don't know. Why not? I got the idea from, like, Steven's friend who, like, threw that smoke bomb in his place. It was like, yeah! I don't know. I'm messed up inside. Leave me alone.
It's cool. It's cool.
Awkward. On that awkward note, yeah. You can crash into. Shut up.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.